Title: Oh, son-in-law, we left our wallet at home, and our cards too. My wife's parents laughed out loud when the restaurant brought a bill for $200,000 for their anniversary. But their laughter stopped when I calmly said. Chapter 1. The Setup. I should have known something was off when my in-laws insisted I make the reservation somewhere elite. It's our 35th anniversary, my father-in-law Naveed boomed. But, a man only hits that milestone once. We'll go somewhere classy, don't worry, we'll cover everything. His wife Salma chimed in, yes beta, just make the booking. We don't need help, we've got it. That was a lie. A rehearsed one. I should have said no. But I didn't. Because I wanted to be the respectful son-in-law. The man my wife Aisha could proudly point to when her parents bragged to their friends. I'd spent years trying to gain their approval, and every time I got close, they moved the finish line. So I booked the most luxurious spot in the city. Lumiere Royale. A place where celebrities dined behind velvet curtains, where the chandeliers cost more than my car, and the wine menu didn't list prices. Because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. We arrived in style. I wore my best tailored suit. Aisha looked stunning in emerald green. Naveed and Salma dressed like royalty, Salma in diamond earrings that sparkled under candlelight. Naveed in a navy shawani and Italian loafers. From the moment we walked in, they acted like they owned the place. Loud, boastful, snapping selfies with waitstaff and asking for custom dishes, off menu. I kept smiling even when the manager gave me nervous glances. Then came the food. 12 courses, imported wines, golden desserts. They ordered everything, bottles popped, dishes piled up. And the table echoed with their laughter, especially Naveed's booming chuckle. This place is nothing, he said, waving his hand. Beta, let's come here every week. Then came the bill, presented in a sleek leather folder placed gently before Naveed. He didn't even open it. He pushed it toward me with a grin. Actually, beta, small issue, we left our wallet at home and our cards. You don't mind, do you? Salma giggled. Oh, come on, we're family, you'll pay now, we'll get the next one. The waiter stood silently, waiting. The bill was 200,000 rupees. They laughed out loud. I didn't. Instead, I leaned back slowly, looked Naveed in the eye, and said calmly, Chapter 2. The Turning Point. I leaned back in my chair, the laughter of my in-laws still ringing like cheap bells in a glass room. Naveed was slapping the table like he'd just told the joke of the century. Salma dabbled at her mouth with a linen napkin, smug and glowing. But me? I simply looked up at the waiter, then turned to Naveed and said, I didn't order a single dish tonight. This bill is yours. The laughter stopped. Dead. Naveed blinked, then snorted. Excuse me? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I came here because you invited me. You both said, clearly, that you were treating. I booked the table like you asked. But everything you ordered, from the oysters to the third bottle of imported French wine, was your choice. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I just sat here, like a polite fool. But I'm done. The waiter, bless him, looked between us with the frozen face of a man caught between two exploding grenades. Salma leaned in, her voice sharp. Are you trying to embarrass us, John? You'd humiliate your own in-laws in public over money? I met her gaze. No, Salma. You've embarrassed yourselves. And you've done it for years, belittling me behind my back, mocking my work, calling me temporary at every family gathering. Tonight, you made a show of pretending you were royalty. But this? I tapped the bill gently. This is reality. Naveed scoffed, his face turning red. Do you have any idea who I am? I can buy this whole place if I wanted to. The waiter cleared his throat, professionally soft. Sir, if there's a payment issue, I can call the manager. No need, I said. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out my own wallet. I slid a black card across the table toward the waiter. But this, I added, eyes locked on Naveed, isn't for their dinner. The waiter hesitated. Sir, I'll be paying for my seat only, service charge and tip included. You can separate the bill, right? He nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. Of course, sir. Naveed looked like he'd swallowed a live coal. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious, I replied. For years, I tried to earn your respect. Tonight, I stopped caring. Then, just as the waiter turned to handle the split, I added, and one more thing, there are cameras in this restaurant. I've already informed them not to delete tonight's footage. So if you try to storm out, shout, cause a scene, or disappear, I'll press charges. That was it, the final nail. Salma looked like she might faint. Naveed sat stone still, jaw twitching. They were exposed, not just to me, but to the surrounding tables now whispering, staring, phones likely recording. And me, I sat back, calm, in control. Because for the first time since marrying into their house of delusion, I had flipped the script. Chapter 3: The Public Price of Arrogance. The restaurant had gone still, not silent, but worse, quiet enough to hear the shame. The couple at the next table was whispering behind raised menus. A young guy near the bar angled his phone discreetly. A group of businessmen, clearly regulars here, shook their heads in pity and a bit of amusement. The waiter returned with the split bill. Mine, 7,500 rupees, I paid with a smile. There's 192,500 rupees. Naveed's hands twitched as he took the slip. His eyes scanned it once, then a second time, as if the numbers would change under pressure. They can't be serious, he muttered. They are, I replied, and so am I. Salma leaned over the table, her voice a sharp whisper now. You're humiliating your wife's parents. No, I said, standing and adjusting my coat. You did that when you made me into your personal bank account, when you lied, ordered the most expensive items and thought I'd just nod and pay, again. You humiliated yourselves, I'm just the mirror. I turned to Aisha, who'd been watching the entire scene in silence. Her eyes glistened, not with tears, but with realization. Her voice was soft. Why didn't you tell me you were planning this? I didn't want to drag you into it, I said. You've spent your whole life trapped under their control. I wanted you to see for yourself. She looked at her parents, then back at me, then nodded slowly. The manager, having been quietly called over, now stood beside the waiter. Is there a problem with the payment, sir? He asked Naveed politely. Naveed's voice trembled with rage. My wallet is at home, my cards too, this is ridiculous. The manager remained professional. Unfortunately, sir, we'll need some form of payment. If not tonight, then we'll be forced to involve the authorities. People were recording now. Naveed and Salma's faces were pale, panicked, cornered. The power couple image shattered. I turned to the manager. I'm willing to settle their bill. Naveed looked up, shocked, hope flickering for half a second. If, I continued, they both issue a public apology right now. Loud enough for everyone in this room to hear, for taking advantage of me, for mocking me, for treating me like a wallet instead of a person. The hope died instantly. You can't be serious, Salma hissed. You want us to grovel? I leaned in just slightly. You want to walk out of here with your dignity, or escorted out like frauds? Naveed looked around the room. Every eye was on him. He knew, and finally, he cracked. He stood up slowly, cleared his throat, and said in a broken voice, I'd like to apologize, to my son-in-law, for abusing his kindness, for taking advantage, it was wrong. Salma looked ready to burst, but with a trembling breath she stood beside him. I'm sorry, she said, we treated you poorly, and we were wrong to do so. I let the silence hang a moment, then nodded to the manager, put it on my card. As I signed the slip, I looked at Naveed and said quietly, that's the last thing I'll ever pay for on your behalf. And with that, I walked out, my wife by my side. Chapter 4: The Last Receipt. We didn't speak on the ride home, not out of tension, but out of clarity. For once there was nothing left to explain. Aisha sat beside me, her hand resting lightly on mine, her expression unreadable. When we reached our apartment, she finally spoke. "I saw them tonight," she said softly, "for who they really are." I said nothing, just let her words hang in the air. "They've always used guilt like a weapon," she continued, "manipulated us with tradition, appearances, family pride. I thought that's just how it was supposed to be. But tonight," she looked at me, eyes firm. "Tonight, you gave me back my voice. I didn't need a thank you, that was my thank you." The next morning, the fallout began. A video clip of the restaurant incident had gone viral. Someone had caught Naveed's fake laugh, his stunned silence when the bill came, the waiter's neutral professionalism, and my calm line that cut deeper than any scream. "I didn't order a single dish tonight, this bill is yours." It exploded on social media, our son-in-law's silence, dine and deceive. Respect goes both ways. I didn't post anything I didn't need to. The internet spoke for me. Within days, Naveed's business partners distanced themselves. One of them even issued a formal statement about misaligned values. Salma's Women's Committee, where she loved to boast about her family's respect and class, quietly revoked her honorary title. Several relatives reached out to Aisha privately. "We never knew how badly they treated him. You both deserved better." And her parents, they didn't call, not once, not to apologize again, not to scream, not even to fake an illness for sympathy. Because entitlement dies quietly when the spotlight stays on. A few weeks later, Aisha and I moved to a new place. Across town, smaller, cozier, but fully ours. No family hovering, no shame on the walls, just peace. On the night we moved in, we stood on the small balcony looking out at the city lights. "I feel lighter," she whispered. I looked at her, smiled and said, "That's what happens when you stop carrying people who were never supposed to be your weight." She nodded, her eyes glassy but grateful. We didn't toast with wine, we didn't order takeout. We just stood there in quiet victory because the greatest revenge is leaving them behind with the one thing they hate most, silence and nothing left to take. Epilogue, the anniversary, they'll never forget. Months passed, the world moved on, but some reputations never quite recovered. Naveed and Salma's social circle shrank overnight. Once the couple who strutted through gatherings like royalty, they now entered rooms with lowered heads and forced smiles. The invitations dried up, the whispers never did. They tried hosting a modest anniversary event later that year to reclaim some dignity. No RSVPs came back, not even from family. Word had gotten around, don't dine with debtors who dress like kings and pay like beggars. As for me, I never had to raise my voice, never had to post a thing, never needed revenge through fire and fury. I simply let their greed reveal itself and let truth do what it always does in the end, expose the rot beneath the gold plating. Aisha and I built something better after that night, a quieter life, a lighter life, one where birthdays weren't traps and anniversaries were real. And when people ask about that dinner, what happened, how it ended, I just smile and say, it was the most expensive meal they never paid for, and the most valuable lesson I ever served. Was this revenge perfectly justified? Tell us what you would have done in the comments below. Like the story, share it with someone who needs this energy, and subscribe to Rabbit Stories for more jaw-dropping tales of betrayal and justice. Because here, every lie has its reckoning, and every betrayal finds its shadow. Stay sharp, stay strong, and stay tuned.